So we are going to school. Sorry.
We are already in school.
Oh, yeah, sorry.
Yes, so social studies, they provide opportunities for people to develop attitudes, skills, and knowledge that will enable them to become engaged, active, informed, and responsible citizens. Recognition and respect for individual and collective identity is essential in a pluralistic and democratic society. Social studies therefore help individuals develop their sense of self and community, encouraging them to affirm their place as citizens in an inclusive democratic society. Social studies are the study of people in relation to each other and in relation to their world. Today, we're looking at the national anthem. In the national anthem of a country, like its other symbols, represent the tradition, the history, and beliefs of a nation and its people. Hence, it helps evoke feelings of patriotism among the country's citizens and reminds them of their nation's glory, beauty, and rich heritage. What does all this mean? Well, the director of the Institute for National Transformation, Mrs. Juliet Binitie, is here and will be helping us decipher all this. We have all these rituals, as we call them. We have our anthem, we have our pledge, we have the flag, and other things like that. But what do they mean? We mouth the anthem, we mouth the pledge, but do those words mean anything to us? Mrs. Binitie, good morning, and thank you for coming to educate us this morning.
Thank you so much. It's my absolute privilege. No matter how many times I'm here, I always count it a privilege. And I'm glad for this section that you guys have started. It's absolutely necessary at this season of our country. And I think we need to recognize that nations are built. Nations do not emerge by itself. Nation is a systematic process where the people within a sector decide the nation they want. Unfortunately for us, that understanding was not properly delivered and has not been properly passed down through the generations since the 60s. However, we'll not even only talk about 60s, because from the very 20s, men like Macaulay had started a party, and the thriving of Nigerians for a nation began. But unfortunately, the building blocks were not properly recognized and the foundation was not properly laid. And today we have a fractured nation. We have a nation that has become the poverty of the world. We have a nation with all sorts of statistics that is terribly,
Sadly,
because Nigerians are one of the most educated black race in the entire world.
not just educated, enterprising.
Yes, and very passionate people. So in each country, there are documents that back up a nation at its beginning. For people like the Americans, they talk about their own Declaration of Independence. Our Declaration of Independence in 1960, how much of that has been revealed down the generation? What were the discussions that we were having that warranted our independence? And at independence, what was the agreement for that independence? And until we understand that the foundation is a critical factor of nation building, at the time of the agreement, with the men and women who gathered around with Britain as our partner, what did we agree for independence? Was it a federal government where each regions and sectors can develop and we all be able to put money in the center for all of us? Or was it a unitary government we agreed on? That agreement, until we back it and go back to that agreement, we will not have the nation we need or we want, as it were. And so there are various documents like the anthem, the pledge, the Constitution, and everything is a framework. These are frameworks for nation building. In a building, my husband is an architect, there are frames that you must put in a building before the blocks begin to appear. If those frames are fragile, the blocks will not appear. So we have all those frameworks, but today we are focused on the anthem. For example, the anthem is supposed to reveal the values of a nation. The nation, each nation has a value. What is it that makes the nation great? When you listen to the Americans and they sing their national anthem, there is a value in it because America came out of war. There was issues that they had, and the blood stain and the flag became the epitome of their representation. And that's why even when they say their own pledge, I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which she stands. Many of us do not understand that that very flag represented their representation as a people. So the flag is like your identity because every nation has a flag. There's no identical flag. All nations have their variations. And so the flag is an identity. That this is, when you see white, green, standing horizontally, it is Nigeria. When you see the flag like the Union Jack that was lowered yesterday at EU, you know that is Britain. You see the German flag, it says German. So there's an identity. And in the national flag, our identity was agriculture and unity. So it means we are unified around agriculture, not petroleum. Petroleum was supposed to be the incentive. So when we look at our value system in the national anthem, we see a lot of things like the value system of even the coat of arms. All of them represent every aspect. You say America has the eagle and all that. So
Slow down.
okay. So.
Let's focus on the anthem today.
No, I need to give you a background.
No, we'll still get to the others.
Okay.
Let's start with the anthem
Yes,
today.
sir.
So, there was an anthem which was
the old one,
which was done away with.
Yeah.
Nigeria, we hail thee.
Yes. Okay. Remember, we're in social studies, so we might need to go back history later.
Yes.
Nigeria, we hail thee, our own dear native land.
Yes.
Though tribe and tongue may differ, in brotherhood we stand. Nigerians all arise to serve our sovereign motherland.
Yes.
That's one. But then now we left that because
1978,
that wasn't originally Nigerian.
Composed by us, yes. It was almost
and
delivered.
we went to the one composed by us
and
Nigeria.
delivered by us. Yes.
Arise, O compatriots,
Yes.
Nigeria's call obey.
Yes.
To serve our fatherland. So let's stop there first.
Yes.
Go back. Arise.
Yes.
Compatriots.
Yes, fellow Nigerians. Call obey.
Obey.
And if you see, say Nigerian call obey, it is not an Ibibio call obey.
Nigeria's
It's not
call.
a Yoruba call. It's not a Hausa call. It is a Nigerian call. So the call to regions and the call to tribe is an error from our very value. Our value is a Nigerian call. Meaning everything I do, whether I'm a Yoruba, an Ishekiri woman, whatever I am as a Nigerian, my focal point is a promotion of Nigeria. So anyone, whether in government or outside government, creating the dichotomy, creating the divisions is not fighting for Nigeria. You're not patriotic, you're not nationalistic. You are a stranger in the land. Nigeria has a problem where the tribes are overtaking our nationality. And that's why today I decided to wear a colorful garment representing all of us. As big as the Igbos, the Hausas, and Yoruba may claim to be, we have the Ijaw nations. We have the Ishekiris. We have the Idomas. We have the Lupes. We have the Ibibios. We are all Nigerians. Yeah. And there's nothing wrong with our diversity. Because even God, in the time of creating Israel, was created from 12 tribes, who became 12 nations. And each of those tribes had their own characteristics and their own composition. That there was a time that one tribe was fighting against the other tribe. So it's not news under the sun. But there is a requirement for leadership that must have the ability to bring these tribes together. He said, arise, fellow Nigerians. There's a Nigerian call. The call for building a nation has not sounded well. And that's why we must infiltrate the nursery school, the primary school, and all the way. And as far as I'm concerned, the youth service corps should be a national orientation service corps, whereby we immerse our youth into the nationalism called Nigeria.
But when you say immerse our youth, remember they spend a minimum of 4 years in the university where the dichotomy might still be existing. Yeah. They spend 4 years, and they only spend 1 year, and you think that 1 year is enough to to re-educate?
No. The national service should be moved to after secondary school.
Really?
Yes.
Don't you think they'll be too young to leave home?
No.
And
Israelis, Singapore, Uganda now has joined. They now realize that after secondary school, they immerse their children in at least 2 years, either military or paramilitary training, to cause a level of discipline. Because it takes disciplined people with disciplined thoughts and with disciplined action to create a transformation, even according to Jim Collins, in the business sector, but it cuts across even our national life. The level of indiscipline, even in our attitude, the discipline of thought is not there. Meanwhile, while you do a 1-year national or 2 years, as when they come out of secondary school, we need to infiltrate the schools. Compulsory civil education, compulsory. It should not be negotiable. Every Nigeria, just like the Americans and other nations, must recognize what does it mean to be a Nigerian. And the uniqueness of Nigerians. Because whether we like it or not, across the globe, we stand out. So we are not dumb people. But there's something wrong with our leadership sensibility, which has to do with a feudal sense that we want to put on in oppressing one another. That's not nationhood. Nationhood is about service. Say, arise, O compatriot. Nigerians call, obey, to now serve. Not take from our fatherland, but give to the fatherland.
Okay, that's the anthem.
Yes, to give, that's the old one.
You know
that's the old one.
Yes.
Nigeria, we healed it.
Okay,
so
this is the new one. Yeah.
Yes. To serve what? Our fatherland. How? It get the description for service. The value is love,
and
strength, and faith.
Faith in what?
Faith in the
In the
belief
nation.
that nationhood is possible. Faith in belief that you, the Igbo man, or me, the other Yoruba man, we can work together and we can build. Faith that the nation can be sustainable. Faith that this nation can be great. Every nation is fighting for greatness. You heard Trump talking today,
but
America first.
But let's go back a bit. Before the faith, it says love.
Yes, first of all, love. That's why you can't do faith without love. Love is first. Love. He said, this is the description for fatherland, how to serve it. You serve it with love. So any intent of entering the space of fatherland and you are serving with hatred and private intents, you're already guilty. Whether you are government or private sector, you're guilty. And he says, serve with how? Strength, not weakness. You serve with what? Strength, not weakness. Many of us are serving our fatherland, but with weakness, with 419, with corruption, with stealing from the coffers, with bunkery, with raping, with... How are you serving? So we need to teach a new generation and reteach the old generation that the service has a description. You can't serve Nigeria and say, I'm entering the Senate for my self-interest.
Okay, we're going to take a very quick break and we will come back to continue this conversation. Please stay with us. Thank you for staying with us. We are in class, Social Studies. And today we're looking at the national anthem. We've talked about what the beginning of it. We did an overview of the old anthem, and this is where we are. Arise, O compatriots, my fellow countrymen. Nigeria's call obey, not my tribe's call obey.
Or my religion's
call obey.
Yeah.
To serve our fatherland, not to serve myself. With love, strength, and faith. And Mrs. Binitie was, at the point we went on break, she was talking about strength. We talked about a lot. So, yes.
I mean, we are supposed to serve Nigeria with our strengths, which includes our talent, our capacity, everything that we are, every strength that God has given unto us, everything that is within us to solve our national quagmire, everything that is given unto humanity to restore the earth is given unto man. And each nation, clearly, God gives boundaries to nations. Nations don't just exist. It was once upon a time USSR. It doesn't now exist. So nation, as it were, must understand that there are two levels in that first standard. It's talk about not just love, strength, and faith. It also talks with heart and might. With heart. Meaning that you have to do it from the bottom of your heart and with the vigor that God gives you. And that's why it's so critical for us to recognize that these values need to be interpreted. It needs to be embedded into the curriculum, needs to be understood. We need a national orientation. If there's anything that is urgent for us to move together, if we want to maintain this unity, is that we need a national reorientation. The entire sector. It has to become a dogma. The national orientation is part of what must happen. And if you look at the second standards, all of us agree that there's a God of creation. In other words, Nigeria believes in accountability to a supreme being. Meaning that whatever we do, we will be accounted in judgment before God. And we believe that God has that ability to direct our noble cause. I like this aspect. He said direct our noble cause, meaning that any cause that is not noble will not be directed by God. So you can pray 1,000,000 times and 1,000 times, wherever religion you belong to. If the cause is not noble, it will not be directed by God. God himself will
not
stop
be
us.
blessed.
Will not be blessed by God. And it talks about guiding the leaders right. Not just guiding leaders, but right. That right, we need to defend it. That right, we need to explain it. It has to come from the Constitution, which itself needs to be redone as a Constitution of Nigeria. We have gone through so many years of constitutional review. We need to be bold enough and create a constitution that is for the people, not created by the military for the people. Then we also need to understand that we need to help the youth the truth to know. Every youth in his growing up
Which
age,
is what we're doing here right now.
Brilliant. That's why I was excited that this is happening. Help the youth the truth to know so that they can attain a lofty heights. A lot of youth do not understand that nation building is not an automated thing. Today, people look at England, and they look at America, and they look at all these nations that are prospering, but they refuse to look at the history, the truth behind those things. They were men that fought for the survival of this nation and poured their blood to build it up. Nations are not built by angels or by spirits. Nations were built by men and women who love their country. The love of country is what makes you build it. So when I see people who are destroying our nation, they don't love the nation. And peradventure, they may not be Nigerian, they may be Nigerian, so they need to ask themselves questions. Are you a Nigerian? Because if you are a Nigerian, why are we not building our country? Because it's not Ghanaians that are coming here to oppress us. They are not Americans here oppress us. Even the Chinese that are here, we invited them. So we are still a sovereign nation, in spite of the global movement and agenda. It is our responsibility to negotiate for Nigeria. Can you imagine? Yesterday, I just saw a report that England makes $47 billion annually from African nations, from them exporting to these African nations. Meanwhile, only 2% of what England imports comes from Africa. Not Nigeria, Africa. 2%. Yet, as Africans, we do not recognize that there are things we need to teach this generation to know, so that their lofty heights, those who are engineers, those who are doctors, those who are lawyers, those who are masons, whatever level of category, you are building towards a great nation. So if I'm a mason at the lowest level or a tiler, I should know that whatever I'm doing, I do things with excellence. We don't need the Togolese to come to Nigeria to teach us how to draw a straight line. Our technical schools, our secondary school from primary, we should teach these fundamental things that help the youth the truth to know. So that is an education sector on its own. The entire education framework, outdoor and indoor education, has to have that recognition that there are things our youth must know so that they can compete at the global stage. Then we talk about freedom, justice, peace, and unity. I mean, that very word is a stranger. It's a strange word to our children today. What is honesty? Justice. In Nigeria, what is peace? Is it justice? When we are breaking laws and cracking them with military, what do they call it, entering the courts? Where is the unity? Where is this unity? I ask people, say, you really want to divide. Okay, let's find the dividing line. I asked the people who are fighting for Biafra, I said, where is that line? I hope it's not the same line before the Civil War. I asked the Yoruba, where is the line? Because I said the Edo people will not bow to you. An Edo man will not bow. Even if Edo himself created the state, between the Edo and the Ishans, there will be fight. If the Yoruba have the Oduduwa nation, between the Egbas and the Jebus, who is the superior? In the east, between the Anambra man, who claims he's the elite of the Igbo land, and the Igbo of Abia, who will be Lord? In the north, who will be the Oga? We will continue to fracture to the minimums and bare minimum and become a nation that cannot be identified or compete at the global level. And that's why the other one talks about, if we do not, the works of our heroes past will become vain. The men who fought for this independence with oneness. My father raised me to think Nigeria. He did not raise me to think Idoma, or my mom raising me as an Edo princess. I knew from day one as a child, we would read the papers every day, sitting around the table, said, what is happening in Nigeria? It is not about our regions. Yes, it should be regional defense because certain things are happening, but the regional defense should be for the sake of national defense. And so as Nigerians, we are lacking critically, not just in history, but in values. For us at the Institute, because I'm not director, I'm director in the Institute, but I'm director for programs. The critical factor here is that we need to stop lying. Before you become an American citizen, you know you have to write some exams to understand America. So why is there no understanding of Nigeria? How many of us understood that our constitution started at a time Nigerians could not even vote within their nation, and people have to fight for Nigerians to vote? Some of our people have been traveling from the 30s, the 40s, the 20s to fight for this independence. But yet these things are not written in the archives of our books, not in the archives of our hearts. We are all fellow Nigerians.
And then history was taken off the curriculum in schools.
That is incredulous. I am yet to I'm still comprehending it. No, I don't really...
Trying to, wrap your head around.
Because even my children had a little bit of this British education aspect, and they were talking about the Vikings, from the Vikings to the kings, and they were thinking, I said, how can we not teach our children, even no matter how ugly the history is, let them face the good and bad, and debate on how to improve. Today, Nigeria is not competing with the international world. Today, the biggest black nation on the globe is at the verge of war with all the people fighting for the various regions. At what point, as intelligent individuals, we will sit down and say we need to discuss? What are we afraid of? The things about the Civil War, why can't we address it? Those who are guilty, apologize. Where compensation needs to be made, let's make the compensation. But what is required for a nation to move forward is not magic. There is no amount of decrees and law that brings unity. It's orientation. If there was the biggest thing that Lee Kuan Yew did, the late Lee Kuan Yew of Singapore, the father of Singapore, that by all rights people can say, is that the first thing he did was to create a national orientation. He said, we will not take Chinese as our own culture or language because we have other culture and people here. We will take English. However, at home and everywhere, you can keep teaching culture. However, we must create unity. Because that is the key for national transformation.
Let's go back a bit to those values in the national anthem.
Yes.
Let's take the verse 1, because many times when we go for different events, that's what we sing.
Yes.
So let's go back to the first verse. So we talked about arise and serve. We talked about responsibility and quality. If we could have the slide out there.
Yes.
Responsibility and quality service.
Yes.
We're not seeing that. I'm not talking about just amongst the politicians.
All of
even
us,
amongst the civil servants.
The whole thing. That's why I say it's arise. The word arise is quite, the word arise is quite complex because it's deeper than just get up from your chair. Arise is like an awakening. Come to your consciousness. Come to a national realization to serve. And the service has to be with responsibility. The word responsibility, respond, means how you act about a matter and not take the ability. You can't say something is happening in the country. Two leaders, according to Jim Collins, he said every leader, when you fail, you look at the man in the mirror. When you succeed, you celebrate. Leadership is about taking responsibility. Leadership is not a blame game, whereby it is the people around the president. Oh no, it's the people around the governor. No, it's the people around the CEO. No, it's the people around my dad. No. That man has a responsibility, or woman, as the case may be, to take responsibility when advice is given on the left. I take advice on the left. At the end, I take responsibility for what will move my nation, organization, or community forward.
So in this case now, the responsibility bit here now, should we all, because most times we're saying he's the president, he's a governor, he's a CEO. No. What about the individual citizens in Nigeria?
Everybody born Nigeria, home or abroad again, must take responsibility for where Nigeria is. In other words, there's something our director for administration would always say. He said, the nation problem has a name on it. Your name on it. Where is your name in this national quadrant for you to take responsibility? Like Nehemiah building the block, everybody should take a block. Where is your block building? Whether you're in the education sector, financial sector, religion, or any of the sector, you need to take responsibility. What are you doing in that sector? For example, the churches and the mosques, what preaching are you preaching to make people better Nigerians?
That is where we have to leave it for today.
Brilliant.
Mrs. Juliet Binitie, Director, Institute for National Transformation. I admire your passion. Thank you very much for coming.
Thank you, ma'am. A
Well
pleasure.
done.
Sunrise will be right back with the home stretch in just a moment. Stay with us.